Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the LFC Transfer Room channel. This is our post-match reaction. Liverpool have just beaten Ajax 2-1 in the Champions League. First win of our Champions League campaign. How is everyone doing after that match? Arnav, starting off with you.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm glad we got the win secured. The 3 points is much needed. Going into back-to-back games against Rangers, but I think it was inevitable, like to score with a set piece. Happy days. The amount of headers Van Dijk and Matip were winning, so yeah, it's good.
What about you, Drew?
Yeah, buzzing. We get to see a win. I'm not going to see the lads play for like 2-3 weeks, so must-win game for our Champions League campaign, and a nice way to head into this lengthy break. Buzzing as opposed to more depression.
And George, first win of the Champions League. It feels good, doesn't it?
It does. Finally. I mean, I think overall it was a lot better performance compared to a few other games. Obviously, a lot better than the previous Champions League game. So happy days. Matip, last second, just amazing. I mean, I'm just glad that we got 3 points. Performance was better. I'm just glad we got it done.
All right. So just before we head into the actual match itself, so we've seen Gomez start for us this season, and he's not necessarily impressed by any sort of means. Obviously, Konate was playing fairly well at the back end of last season. Same with Matip, and Matip's come in again today, scored the last-minute winner. What do you think this means for Gomez's future? Do you think he's going to have a long-term future at Liverpool? Obviously, he's not been performing to that sort of standard. So, I don't know, what do you think the situation is with Joe Gomez at the moment?
I think he's had as we all know, like, he's had a long injury, and he's been out on the sidelines for quite a while. But I think he's still a young centre back, and I think he does have a future. But especially like with us, like knowing us and our issues with injury, it's good. It was always good to have a few backups, especially in any top team now with the amount of games we're going to play every season. It's good to have Joe Gomez that's in the background, maybe not starting all the time, and when Konate's fit. But I think we do need him, and if we were to sell him, I think we need a fourth centre back anyway, of a good quality. So it costs probably another 30, 40, 50 million to get a replacement for him. So I think he'll learn a lot. He's still young, and going forward, him and Konate might be the number one pairing that we see going forward.
Of course, and Drew, Joel Matip, as Anissa said here, no context Matip account's going to be lit. Scored the last-minute winner. What do you make of his performance today?
It was quality. I think we came to expect that after last season. Surprised that he was fit for the majority of the season, but absolutely dominated and arguably was better than Van Dijk last year.
Yeah.
And something that he adds to the game is his ability to dribble and carry the ball up the field. Like he splits like the midfield and forces Ajax back, and we've seen that before. His passing is pretty good in those moments. He's surprisingly skilled with the ball at his feet, and he actually creates a lot, which is very surprising and not something you expect from center back. But he brings that to his game, and the way he reads the game on defense is quality. Add his heading ability, he's a phenomenal player, and we all know that. He has that in his locker, and if he can keep staying fit, he's our number one choice next to Van Dijk, clearly.
Oh, so George, obviously, Drew just threw that out there. Matip's number one starter. What would you say about that? Obviously, Konate's impressed, and he did play that Champions League final too. So, what's your thoughts on the centre backs?
I think Matip and Van Dijk going forward. I just think, as Drew mentioned, he touched on that. The ability of Matip breaking lines is something that we've missed when he doesn't play. It's Van Dijk doesn't do it, Joe Gomez doesn't do it, Konate doesn't do it. The ability just to break and squeeze the ball in between players, to break those lines from our defense to the midfield to the offense. Sometimes he skips the midfield, directly pass to Bobby or to Mo or whoever's up there. And the way I know sometimes his passes are very risky, and sometimes they get caught out, and we get countered. But that's true, willing to take with somebody of his ability. I mean, most times than not, that pass doesn't go through. And even today, it happened 3, 4, 5 times where even when Bobby came on, he found Bobby, turned, and then we're running, we're going 3 against 3, and that's the difference between Matip and somebody like Konate, somebody like Joe Gomez. And somebody even like Van Dijk doesn't do it nearly as often as Matip does. So I just think that Matip brings something completely different to most center backs around the world.
For sure, it's quite. I still think to this day it's quite underrated. Like the amount of space he creates for our sort of forwards and midfield in general. I think towards the end we had a few more chances where he was getting the ball into Firmino, and you don't really see centre backs sort of dribble and carry the ball that far. Maybe Rudiger, but centre backs in general they just don't do that. But another defender, he got injured obviously this week, Andy Robertson. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Obviously, Robertson has not been performing to the best lately, even for the past season, and Tsimikas hasn't really had that proper opportunity to sort of cement himself as a starter. So, Arnav, do you think Robertson sort of passed his peak, I want to say, and do you think Tsimikas should be taking that starter spot?
I don't think as of yet Tsimikas should be nail on starter as Robertson has been, but I think obviously it's good having a replacement. And Simi didn't play that badly today; he played all right. He had a good game, solid game, and we looked comfortable throughout the game. It was just lacking that killer instinct up front, which we've had in seasons gone by. But I think that will come as time goes on. The lads are very tired, but Nunes adjusting in the system looked all right when he came on, and I think Tsimikas was he's a good replacement and he's a good backup, and he'll mold into the role that Robertson's played so well in for the last few years. In a few years, as we go.
Same question to you, Drew. Do you think Tsimikas should be taking Robertson's spot now? Obviously, Robertson hasn't played well at all, to be fair, this season, and Tsimikas played decent today.
Yeah, I go along with Arnav. I don't think Tsimikas takes Robertson's place at this point. I think Klopp relies on Robertson. He trusts him, and the output that Robertson's had over the years merits his first team position. But Tsimikas, if he keeps playing like he did today, arguably man of the match in my opinion for Liverpool. He was absolutely phenomenal at left back, both defensively, and his crossing and his set piece delivery was top notch, which is something that when Robertson is off his game suffers, and we suffer because we rely on that crossing. Tsimikas also has a right foot, which I'm convinced Robertson absolutely has no right foot. So it's nice to see him utilize both feet and be able to get out of defensive situations and contribute to the attack in that way. I think if he puts in performances like he did today on a consistent basis when Robertson's out of the team, then you start questioning whether or not Tsimikas gets the nod ahead of him. But I think just Robertson's, veteran status and what he's contributed over the years. Yeah, he's had a dip in form, but he's also been, playing so much, not only for us, but for Scotland last year. So he's bound to burn out from time to time.
For sure. Get your questions in the chat as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the LFC Transfer Room. Adam Doherty, hey fella, great. We're all doing great, mate, especially with last minute winners. I think we're all buzzing after that Carvalho one against Newcastle, but similar question to you, George. Obviously, we've got Tsimikas and Robertson in that left back spot, but the opposite side, Trent Alexander-Arnold, caught out again defensively. I saw Arnold not too happy in the group chat, but what's your thoughts on Trent? Do we give Calvin Ramsey a few more opportunities to maybe start like Tsimikas has been doing, or do we keep Trent there and just risk facing more opportunities, like conceding more opportunities?
I think he does need to feel the pressure. Just knowing the fact that you can be dropped is, automatically puts you in that competitive spirit where you got to work extra hard, to get back on defense and whatnot. But I think the main problem that we have in the system that we play is in previous years in the past when Trent's been doing this for a long time now, where it's just he's been so great at going forward and everybody else is kind of covering all that space that he doesn't cover back and doesn't track back, that we've kind of just let it be. Now, at this moment, when everybody's a bit off form and not really tracking and kind of off their game a bit, we're seeing all of that a little bit more. So I think Henderson is like the one guy who used to cover for Salah and Trent on the right-hand side. Every single game, it used to be Henderson. And I know Milner and Henderson both get a lot of stick when they do play, but that's kind of one of their main jobs, to do that dirty work for Trent and for Mo, so they don't have to drop back as much. So I think today I like Harvey Elliott. I think he's been one of the better players so far this season, but I don't think that role fits him. So to have Harvey on the right, hand side in the midfield, and then Trent and then Mo, it kind of overloads of three guys who don't really like to track back and do the dirty work. It's not really their style. So I think we do need to figure that situation out, because obviously teams are targeting that. And Trent is not. I don't see Trent really, unless Klopp just says, look, don't worry about going forward too much and just stay back and worry about the defensive side more. That's the only way, he's going to start tracking back and stay a little bit deeper to where he's not going to get caught. Today we saw him a few times. Van Dijk even played a ball and he was, in the 18-yard box making the run, which is, it's insane for a right back to be all the way up there when your center back has the ball to play a long ball. So I think it's a change. I think they're trying to work on it, but it's just a matter of who do you even put on the right-hand side in the midfield that's willing to do that job for Trent to cover all that space. But yeah, I mean, so far this season, it hasn't been going well going forward, and it's been pretty bad defensively. So now we're seeing all the deficiency that he does have. So I don't know, it's a tough one. I don't know exactly how we do battle that, whether it's tactical change, whether we obviously when Henderson does come back, that's kind of his role, and that's going to be the role going forward. I'm not really sure, but I just don't think going forward Harvey is going to be able to play in the right-hand side when Trent is just bombing forward left and right. So it's tough. It's tough because Trent is a really good player, and I'd rather have him there than Milner. I'll tell you that much. So that's all I can say.
I think all of us would, to be honest. But George raises a good point on off. So obviously Trent gets criticised a lot for not necessarily tracking back and creating so much space for attackers to attack. Do we think that's solo Trent's problem or Harvey Elliott? Obviously, a lot of people like him. I'm personally not one of his biggest fans, but do we think we need a new midfielder to take that spot to actually cover for Trent so he can sort of unleash his attacking quality, or is it solely Trent's fault for not covering his mistakes?
Yeah, I think the one today, it was more. I don't think it was more his really it was a mistake really from him. It was just his tracking, just his urgency to track back. That was what frustrated me when I saw it, and that's been what the problem has been for the last few mistakes that Trent's made. But I think Harvey, I think he's a great player, solid player, does everything, keeps it neat and tidy, keeps it moving, and I think it's something that is highlighted as well. I think with Jones as well, like when he's put into the role, I don't think there's much else really that they can do. Like going forward, Elliott's he moves the ball forward. Jones as well moves the ball forward. But I think Jurgen puts them in there to keep the team ticking and let the front three do the attacking work and all the flair and show that, like we see with Diaz and we associate with Salah as well. So I think with Trent, it's more his urgency to win the ball back is a bit of a problem. And just thinking, Matip and Van Dijk are there, they'll cover me. I think that has proved us costly in the last few weeks, and even today, I think he could have done far more with that goal. But yeah, going forward, I think if we get Bellingham, then it can be really good. But even Alvarez, he was a good player. He played really well. He's had a good season as well. So yeah, there's a few options there. And if Man United and Real Madrid are after Bellingham, then it's on to FSG to make sure that we actually secure the deal and get the job done for the Dortmund player.
Of course, we're all hoping for Bellingham. Obviously, do we all see United as competition? I'm not really sure. Obviously, Real Madrid are the main ones, already started chewing many from us. But Drew, what do you make of Trent this season, and what do you think is the best option going forward?
I think George hit the nail on the head with like how we're playing and overloading that right side, especially since Trent is like inverted almost, and he's playing tucked in closer to the midfield. And since Salah's been pushed out wide, that creates such a gap in behind them, or a huge gap. And Harvey Elliott's an attacking-minded player. He's also not very fast. Or he's quick, but he's not fast at like tracking back. He can't compete with like a winger gutting in behind. So I think you have that problem, as George said, where like you have three attack-minded players and leaving a huge space in behind them. So I'm not sure exactly how you fix that with those three players into the team. Like, I guess more awareness, maybe not switching off, because I think it came down to that with Trent switching off. Like he didn't track the run back. We saw that happening the other day. We've seen that happen before. So drilling that more, maybe. I was also, I don't think it's his fault, but I was a little disappointed. Van Dijk went in for his, figure skater impression instead of sticking a foot in for that shot. But it's hard to put any more blame on him with the quality of that strike. But yeah, Trent, I honestly don't know how you fix that other than just being more aware with that personnel in the squad. And I don't think we have, it's yet to see whether Calvin Ramsey plays a huge part going forward, but you're talking about an unknown quantity, potentially putting pressure on Trent at this stage. Yeah, we'll see him at some stage in the season, but to throw him in when we haven't even seen him get any minutes in a red shirt is a bit unrealistic at this point.
And obviously, an issue we've been having for the whole season, in fact, midfield. Thiago Alcantara, George, what a performance, eh? And what do you think of it in general, man? It complete sort of turnaround, isn't it, from what we used to be seeing, obviously against Napoli with Overrun in that midfield. What's his name? Zanguisa, completely run our midfield, scored a goal, obviously, and look at the difference when we have a solid world-class midfielder in there. So what are your thoughts on his performance?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, world class. Like he's just a different level to anybody on the field today in the midfield. It's a joy to watch. I'm happy that he's a Liverpool player just because, I mean, every single touch, he's like when he turns, like anything he does, it just keeps the ball moving. He connects and it feels like when he's on the field, everybody gets the boost of confidence and everybody's playing to a bit more to their potential. So and that's what great players do, right? When you're on the field, you're not only great yourself, but you make everybody else look a lot better. So that's what he brings to Liverpool, and his experience, his the range that he has. Obviously, he can shoot. He can do everything. I just think that with Thiago in the midfield, we need to be making more of those. When Darwin came on, like I feel like that's when Thiago, we actually see the Thiago that we're used to seeing at Bayern, when he has that striker that likes to go in behind. I think a little bit more rhythm, more playing time between those two will be like really good for Liverpool. Just because Darwin does like to go in behind, he can use his speed, and Thiago can pick out a pass like no other. So I think that going forward, if he can stay healthy, we're on the right track because he's just unbelievable. Just different class, world class, and we just got to keep him healthy somehow. We just have to. It's a huge difference from any other game that we've seen this season, and it's only going to get better. The more that everybody gets used to each other, the more we get everybody playing back together, back from injuries, and just world class. Man of the match for me. Just easy, too easy for him.
And I don't know what do you make of Thiago's performance today?
Yeah, he's a proper player, Thiago. And I like what George is saying. When Darwin did come on, and those runs in behind, Salah weren't really giving him that much. But then when Thiago found him in his little jink as well, with his shoulder shuffle and that turn, it's a joy to watch. Yeah, it's proper good. Just need to keep him fit and keep him in the squad for longer. And man, we should be on for the quadruple.
I mean, not. I hope so. Obviously, I think we all hope so. But who knows? Obviously, we see a comment here. Thiago stays fit, we win, which is facts. I think we had 90+% win percentage last season with him in the squad or starting 11. Same with Naby Keita as well. But Drew, what is your reaction to Thiago's performance today?
I mean, it's easy going along with the boys. It's world class. He's a player with immense quality, and he just makes a team so much better when he's in. His passing efficiency is unrivaled. It's just tangibly noticeable how different and how more confident we are when he's in the squad. I think it's a bit foolhardy maybe to expect him to be fit all season. Like, he's never been fit, so I don't know how we get him to play every single game for the rest of the season. The answer is simply that we won't be able to, whether through injury or just to keep him fit. So I'm wondering how we combat that moving forward, because we can't rely on him to be, the orchestrator for the entire season when we can't rely on him to be fit for an entire season. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. I hope we find a way to manage it. I hope the physio staff finds a way to, kind of do what they did with Matip and Keita last year for keeping injury-prone players fit. But I hope we do, because his quality is unrivaled. But I will give him one bit of grief is I think he lost the ball in the midfield and literally kind of was throwing his hands up oh God. And then meanwhile, Ajax went on a counter and Daley Blind almost scored at the far post. I think that's his one the one niggling criticism I have of him is sometimes he switches off or plays a poor ball and doesn't track back right away. But he more than makes up for that with his contributions in the midfield. But I will give him stick for that.
But looking forward, though, our front three today, obviously a bit of a change. Jota's not really started for us in a while. Diaz, unbelievable against today. What's your thoughts on the entire front three, George? Obviously, Salah needing a goal and managed to get one as well.
Yeah, I thought we looked sharp. I think Jota's a different player to all the rest of the front three. I really like Jota. I'm a huge fan, and just to get him minutes, getting him back to speed. What do he play? 60 or so minutes plus. It's good. We need him. He's a goal scorer. And then again, when we made the subs, Darwin played on the left and Bobby played through the middle. It's kind of weird again. I'm not sure why that's happening. I thought we were going to go into the 4-2-3-1, and then Darwin's just going to stay in the middle. Bobby's going to stay in the 10. It seems like that's the preferred situation when Darwin and Bobby both played the same time. But I thought going forward, attacking wise, I thought it was a lot better to any other game. Obviously, the Bournemouth game aside, every other game it's just been. Today was just a lot better overall, whether that's Thiago playing a huge role, whether that's Jota and everybody else having a bit of, the weekend off, a little bit more time to prepare and whatnot. I think all those little things play a difference. But yeah, we look sharp going forward. I think that it's a good problem to have for you and club to be able to pick out which front three to go with, because it's better to have those 5 options rather than 2 or 3 guys that are going to play nonstop every single game throughout the whole year. You need to make that rotation. You need to have players that can step in at any given moment to change the game. So I think, and this is also perfect for Darwin, because I know a lot of people were, even before the game, were saying, "Oh, Darwin's not going to start. What a flop." There's been a lot of talk about that, but I think this is the Jurgen Klopp way. He does not want to put players that he just brings in, regardless of how much money he spends on a player. He doesn't just bring them in and throw them into the fire. Go ahead, do your thing, try and score, try to play good, whatever whatever everybody else is going to expect. He wants to take it slow, give him a little time to adjust to the system, get fit, get used to the Premier League, get used to the Champions League, get used to the team. I think all those little things play a major role, and I think just like Fabinho, he didn't play for 3-4 months. I think it's going to be similar to Darwin, where he's going to take a bit longer for him, maybe 15 minutes here, 20 minutes here, maybe start a game, then rest a game or two. And I think this is perfect. I think this is really good for Darwin to get accustomed to the Liverpool way. So I'm just glad that we're getting all of our injured players back, and little by little, we're becoming the Liverpool that we know. And today we're just one step closer to that.
For sure, I think you hit the nail on the head. For previous weeks, we just don't look like a proper flowing team, but all our injury problems gone. It looks like proper Liverpool again. But be sure to get your comments in as well and questions. But Arnav, similar question to you, right? What do you think our best front three is going forward? Or obviously we saw 4-2-3-1 again today with Firmino and Nunes up top. So what do you think the best sort of style is that we should play going forward?
I think for now, like what George is saying, similar to that, but also with Darwin, I think Klopp will give him more time, especially since his start as well, like getting the red card, obviously, and against Palace. But also, he tends to be he's not reactionary, but he's young and he's proper up for it. But I think that can prove to be a little bit of an issue, and I think Jurgen's going to take the fire off him for a bit. So for now, I think if all fit, I think Diaz, Jota, and Salah going forward for now is the front three that can cause that damage, and we've seen it in the past do that as well. But obviously, if when Darwin does find his role into the squad, of course it'll be him, Diaz, and Salah that scoring all the goals and making all the link-up play and everything happen. But yeah, I think for now it'll give him 30-minute, 45-minute cameos, but I don't think it'll be too long before we do see Núñez starting every game, because obviously the price tag and also his age and the pressure on him, so it might be a problem. But yeah, he'll get good, and yeah, I hope he can score the goals like he was last season for Benfica.
This helps. Obviously, George raised a good point, actually. Like, it's a nice problem to have. Obviously, 17, 18, 18, 19, and I'll say 19, 20. Besides from our front three, the next best quality player was always Origi, Daniel Sturridge, Minamino. So it went great quality. So obviously having Diaz, and Núñez now, what do you think our best front three is going forward as well?
I'd say same as George and Arnauf. I think Jota up front, Salah on the right, Diaz on the left. I think that Jota is much better at linking up with the other two. I don't know if you guys saw, but like I think Núñez's first touch in the game was giving the ball away. I still don't think he's up to speed on the kind of close control, small triangle passing that we do. And I talked about it in the stream the other day back when I thought we were going to play Wolves, but it's kind of the situation where we saw in the beginning with Salah, and we still see it with Salah pushed out farther wide. It looks like Salah is being more of a creator and looking to find Núñez when he's in the game instead of the goal scorer. But you saw from today, Jota's playing in Salah simply for a pretty easy goal, well taken from Mo. But I think it's very hard and a very difficult decision to change the way we've played over the past 4 or 5 years under Klopp for a player who's young. And ideally, as both the guys said, we'd take a while to settle him in. So changing the way we play, especially when he's not coming in, hitting the ground running. Like, I mean, that shot that he's, pulled wide, it's like those kind of things you really need to bury, and you really need to show Klopp, like, hey, I'm ready to be right in the team. I'm your man. I'll score the goals. And give Núñez time. Klopp does that with players. He likes to ease them in normally, unless it's like Diaz or Jota for that matter, coming in and firing right away. But I really think it's Jota's spot to lose. I think if Jota comes in, has a run of games, and he's getting the business done, it's, he can make Klopp say, hey, this is what works. And I think that he'll get that chance, and it's his to give up. But Diaz and Salah for sure. I mean, those are nailed on. We don't have anyone pushing to replace them. So I think it's who's up front long term, and I think Jota's got a real shot.
And George, we were waiting for a midfielder to sign one. In the transfer window, we signed Artur. What's the future for him at Liverpool? I think many of us expected him to start this match, and Elliot got the nod ahead of him. So, do we think he's going to sort of replace Thiago whenever he's unfit? Sorry. So, what do you think we do with Artur?
I actually expected him to at least come off the bench at some point today. I mean, we had Milner come on, and I know it's for more defensive purposes towards the end of the game, but still you want to give Arthur a little bit of time. Champions League, Anfield, it would have been good to get him on there for a little bit. But I think it's a similar thing where he's coming from a different team, different system. He hasn't really played much. From all the interviews and comments about him, it doesn't seem like he's really fit. So I think he's going to be 2-3 weeks until we get him up to speed, and then we're going to start seeing him 15-20 minutes coming off the bench, and then potentially starting some games. But I do think, if obviously I hope Thiago stays fit and there are no injuries, but he's that type of a player that we do need when Thiago's not on the field. We need to surround. Obviously, we need Fabinho in there when Thiago's playing, just for more of the dirty work. And then I think it just depends on who you're playing. Just depends on what type of a style, whether teams are going to drop back a lot more, maybe in the Premier League or League Cup games where you're not going to have as much space. You're going to have a lot more of the ball, and then Arthur and Thiago can link up and be more creative and have more time on the ball. So I think it's just depending on who we play going forward with Arthur. But I think Klopp needs to, or wants to, kind of ease him in. He just brought him in, not fit, hasn't played, different system, different league. So just adjusting to the culture of Liverpool, adjusting to the players, to the style and everything. But something else I wanted to touch on was this game. As soon as Salah got the ball out wide, you can tell he was told drive at players, take them one-on-one, and he was way more aggressive today than he was in every other game combined. That was just something that stuck out in the first 5 to 10 minutes, and was like, all right, this is what Liverpool need. You know, when Salah got the ball in the past few games, it's like, all right, he's going to look up, nobody's in the box, he's going to pass it back, and there was no, the defenders weren't scared, nobody was dropping off. It was just too easy. So just to see that fire, that aggression to come back and start dribbling at players, whether it works out every single time or not, it doesn't really matter. It's the fact that you're making the defenders think, okay, he's going to drive at me, I need to drop off a little bit, or I need to be aware, close him in, and then he can run in behind, just to keep everybody second guessing. But yeah, just came to my thoughts. So that was the first thing that I saw from Salah today. First 5 minutes, I was like, all right, this is going to be a good night for Salah, just because of that aggression, and we know what he can do with the ball. So we just need to see a lot more of that.
For sure. I think probably a victim of his own success, isn't it? Like, people have been saying he's underperforming this season, but he's still got 5-6 goals and assists this season. So I don't think it's anything to look down on. But obviously, Fabinho's been criticised quite a lot, and I think he was criticised for the goal as well today. But what do you think is the best option going forward, obviously, with Artur as well? How do you think he gets into that Liverpool team? And do you think Fabinho's role is at risk? You mentioned Alvarez for Ajax played well. Maybe Liverpool could put a bid in for him in the summer. So who knows what can happen. But what's your thoughts going forward with Artur and Fabinho?
Yeah, I think Fabinho's been a bit rocky for the last few games, but I think I said it last week against for the Napoli game. I think he's very fatigued. Like, he's played so many games, and he's in a role that requires a lot of hard work as well. Like, arguably the hardest on the pitch, in just giving that protection in front of the back four. But I think it was quite fascinating that Jurgen brought on Bajcetic at the end of the game as well, rather than Arthur. Something that is an issue there, and also Keita not even being in the squad, I don't think, as well, for the Champions League at the start of the season. I think that was a problem as well. But yeah, I think Arthur will it requires some time, and but it would have been good to see him. I mean, Bajcetic, he didn't do much, but I think symbolically, I might be reading into it a bit much, but yeah, symbolically to bring him on as well and give him some minutes, which is really good. I think Arthur should have been given some as well, like George was saying, like giving him 15 minutes at Anfield on a Champions League night couldn't do him no harm, especially to get used to it as well, because we'll probably need him later on in the season, especially. So yeah, I think it's all right. Fabinho just needs a rest, really, I think, and we got 3 weeks now off, so should be good. And yeah, we'll recharge his batteries properly.
Oh, I forgot we got 3 weeks off now. But Drew, just going to go around all of you before we end the stream. Who is your man of the match today?
It's a Tsimikas or Matip. I think they both were phenomenal. I said Tsimikas at the beginning, but I think I'll just edge it for Matip. Game-winning goal. Yeah, that's all that mattered. 3 points, Matip.
And George, who's your man of the match?
Hard to argue with that, but I'll say Thiago, Matip, Tsimikas in that order.
And Arnav?
Nah, I'd say Matip. Everything he done was gold. His runs, his darting runs pressing the forward line of Ajax, but also his passing as well. He made a few amazing passes through the lines, which no centre back in the world. I think last season Matip was our best centre back, and I think he's the most underrated centre back in the league. Definitely, he's world class, Matip, and his no context Matip account, as was pointed out in the chat, it makes him look like a bit of a clown, but nah, he's world class, man. He is really world class.
He's definitely a character. No, never mind. But yeah, my man of the match, I'll say, yeah, I'm going to go with Matip as well. I obviously scored the last minute winner, but I think Tsimikas is a good shot as well from Drew. But thank you everyone for watching. Be sure to like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you are new. And we are posting on TikTok more regularly now, so follow us on TikTok at LFC Transroom. Once again, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you all in the next one.